Okay, so guys, let's begin. So, next concept, we guys are going to talk about methods in Java. I talked about variables in my last lecture. What are the types of variables we covered? We covered static variable, non-static variable, then we covered local variable, and then after reference variable. Of course, we will keep learning this further in detailed manner. But now let us start with the concept of method. So please write on the heading methods. Write on the heading methods. Okay. So let's see what methods are, by the way. So firstly, we are going to pick some important words in methods. Then I will discuss about why we should create a method. So firstly, we are going to look at what is void. Whenever we create a method, sometimes we see the term void. So what is this void keyword in methods? See, void keywords are just like Vijay Mallya, Nirav Modi, which will never return any money back to the bank. Right? Which means void means it will never return. So suppose I develop, okay, I will make you install all these IDEs soon. Do not worry about that. But I'll be typing this code here in the IDE. Okay, see this here. I have a class and a main method. Now I'm going to build here void. Now what is the meaning of void here? Whenever you make a method as void, whenever you make a method as void, that method cannot return any value. You see that? Moment I try to return a value, return 100, you get an error. The reason for error is because the method is void. Now, if you want this method to return a value, what value you are returning, based on that, give the return type. What is the return type now? Int, because it is returning 100. Let's say I'm returning here a character value. Okay? So, character value. So, the data type for that should be char. Okay? I'm returning a boolean value. True. Then this should be Boolean. I'll talk about data types further. Okay, I'm not going to discuss about data types now. Basic data types what is required, we can all understand with this. Suppose I'm returning string. Suppose I'm returning string. Then the return type should be, which means if a method is void, that method can never return any value. If you want that method to return value, change the return type of the method matching to the value that you're returning. If you're returning 100, change the return type of the method matching to the value you're returning 100, so it is int. But if I make it void, you see here there is an error. Is this part clear? So what is the first point that we have understood now? The first point is, okay, a void method cannot return any value. Okay, cannot return any value. Example, write down. Firstly, write this much. We'll talk about that. That's what I said initially itself. Why we should create a method, I will talk about that later. Firstly, we'll see how to create a method. The answer why method is required, I will cover further. Okay. Now, please write this example quickly. Make a note of this example. Able to understand? Continue. Okay. Now I want to return value. So what I will do now? I will firstly change this to int. But this method will not run. Can you tell me why this method will not run? Because I'm not calling it. Is it a static method or non-static method? Very good. It is non-static method. How do you call a non-static method? Create object. Which method will run first? Main. Then which method will run? So let's create an object. A1 is equal to new A. Correct? Now I'll call the method A1 dot test. Fine. So when you call the method A1 dot test, what is it returning? When you call this method from here, what is this returning? 100. The value 100 it is returning, I will store it in the variable x. X is local variable, static variable, non-static variable, local variable. Sir, how did you know it is local variable? Because I'm creating inside method. Let's print it. Let's print it. I will teach you how to install these IDEs. Don't worry. I will debug this code. I will teach you debugging also later. But for now, for our understanding, I will do one thing. I will here quickly take any one of the class in IntelliJ and I'll teach you how to debug this. Fine. So let me paste this code here. Let's right click. Let me delete this file. Let me delete this file. All these IDs you are going to learn. So don't worry about that. Okay. I'm going to write here main method. Correct. And then we have a code here. This code, let me copy it. Let's go here and let's paste this here. Fine. Now I'll run this in slow motion. Line by line, how the code runs, we will understand that with debug. Sir, we don't know debugging. Right now, not required. Just understand the flow manually. Later, we have separate classes on debugging. One complete project, we will learn how to debug that. Click on the debug icon. Program will stop at line 7. From line 7, how the code runs line by line, we can see that now, which will make your understanding better. Program stops at which line? Line 7. Okay, see that? Program is stopping at line number 7. Fine. Hold on. I should have right clicked here and debug only main method. It's running the complete project because there is some other project also here. Now see, it stops at line number 7. From line number 7, after object is created, which line it will go to? 8. What is line 8? A1 dot test. From line 8, it has to go to the test method. Is it going to the test method and stopping at next line? Did it go to the test method? Returning 100. Where is it returning 100? To the place from where it was called. Correct? Now x variable got the value 100. I'm able to see all of these things because debug. Then I'm printing 100. Closing bracket of main. Program will stop. Let's see again. Again, let us see once again. So program will stop at line 7. Now, from line 7, it will go to line 8. From line 8, it will jump to which line? Which line it will jump to? From line 8, it will jump to which line? Huh? From line 8, it will jump to line 12 and stops at 13. Line 13 is returning the value back to line 8. That value that it is returning, I'm storing it in X. When I print X, what is it printing? Closing bracket of mean, program execution stops. What is the output? 100. Did you understand this program? Everyone, online students, clear with this? Please tell me. Are you clear with this, guys? Online students? Yes, very good. So please make a note of it. Write down. Quickly make a note of it. Example number 2. Okay? See, I'll paste this on notepad because there are extra things here. And that extra things you will think that you will have to type all that stuff. Let's see this here. See, this is what your code is now. Only this much. Okay? Tomorrow we will install IDEs. Okay? And we'll learn all the shortcuts in the IDEs, which is beneficial for practicing programs. Done. Shall we continue? We'll take one more similar example. You have to be quick and try to write down without seeing. Okay? When you're able to write the code without seeing, syntaxes, you are improvising. Okay? Don't blindly copy. Okay. Next. Now see. The next program. This time, I'm going to return here. I'm going to return here a Boolean value true. So can you tell me why this error? Change the return type. What is the return type? Int. What is it returning? True. What should I replace this with? Very good. Correct? Boolean. Boolean. Fine. Now, let's go here. Call this method a1 is equal to new a1 dot test. Correct? We'll take this returning value into some variable and then what is it? It is Boolean. And then we will print that value. I'll teach you all the shortcuts that I'm using it. Don't worry. That how sir is auto completing all of these things. That all we will see in the further classes. For now, just focus on the program. Initial days, write the program in a sheet of paper and practice. Okay? Now, I will put a breakpoint, run this in debug mode. So can you tell me where the program will stop? Which line? Wherever this red dot is there, that's called as a debug point, it'll stop there. Now, from line 8, which line it will go to? Line 8. From line 8, which line will it go to? 11 and stops at 12. Line 12 will go back to 8. And now, at this line, what is getting stored in X? True. So, what is now X getting? True. What is it printing? X is closing bracket of what is it? Is a closing bracket of main. Program execution stops, printing true. Is this clear? Everyone? Yes. So can we write this without seeing then? Similar program? Then we'll move ahead with the next category of example. Okay, able to follow? Yes. Continue. Okay, good. Now, see this here. The next program. The next program, what we will do now is we will understand what we studied so far is what is the meaning of void. Okay. The next thing that we are going to discuss is what is return keyword and what do you mean by return space value. What happens when I use only return in my program? And what happens when I use return value in my program? What is the difference between these two things? So let's try to understand that here one by one. Fine. Firstly, let's discuss about what is this return keyword. See this here. Point number one. Point number one. We use only return keyword inside void methods. Second, it is optional to use. Is this clear? It is optional to use. Observe here. Now, I'll go here and I'll use only return. Am I getting error? Am I getting error? Yes, I am getting error. Why error? Because when you're using return keyword, it has to be what? Void method. Check this here. Is the method void? Is the method void? Moment I make it void, is the error gone? Yes. Why? No. Error is gone, no, Baba. Oh, no error. Okay, right. Now see this here. There's return keyword. Now observe what happens here. Now, I need to call this method, right? So how do we call that? A1 is equal to new A, and let's write A1 dot test. Let's see this in debug to understand the program flow. Correct? I'm just using debug here to understand the program flow. Now right click, debug. Program will stop at line 7. Correct? From there, how program runs line by line? Let's see this here. Okay. So from line 7, I'm going to now line 8. From line 8, I'll go to what? I'll go to line number 11. You see that? And stops at line 12. I'm going to line number 11 and stops at line number 12. From here, see what return is doing. From here, it goes back to the place from where it is called and stops at next line. It will immediately go to the next place from where it was called. It will go back to the place from where it was called and stops at next line. Does it happen? It immediately went back here and stops at next line. This is closing bracket of what? Main. So program execution will stop. See this here now. We'll add some more code here now. We'll add some more code here. Okay. And let's try to see. Let's add some more code here now. Let's see the output of this now. Yeah. Let's see how does this return works now. Okay. So program will stop at which line? 7. Excellent. Online students. Program will stop at which line? 7. From line 7 it is going to 8. From line 8 it will jump to 12 and stops at 13. It goes to 12 and stops at 13. Obviously if it goes to 13 it has to go to 12 and then 13. Correct, no? It goes to line 12 and stops at 13. Return keyword. So what is that printing first? What is it printing first? 100. What is return keyword going to do? From which place this method was called? Which line number this method was called from? From 8 I called this method. From which line I called this method? 8. From line 8 I called this method. So line 14 will go back to line 8 and stops at next line. See? It goes back to line 8 and stops at next line. Did you understand? Now it is printing 200. This is closing bracket of main. Program execution will stop. Output is 100 and 200. So what is return keyword doing? It is returning control back to method calling statement. Return keyword returns control to method calling statement. Return keyword returns control to. Do you agree with that? From line number 14, return keyword returns a control to method calling statement. Did you understand? Now see, I'll not use this. Now what will happen? It is optional. It is not mandatory to use return keyword inside void method. It is not mandatory. It is optional. Okay, now let's run and see. Let me see this in debug mode. Your focus should not be on debugging here. Focus should be on program flow analyzing manually. That is how initially you have to learn coding. Okay, now let's go to the next line. Now from line 8, you will go to which line? From line 8, which line will it go to? 12 and stops at 13. Did this happen? Is return keyword there? In this case, it goes to, so if return keyword is not there, it will take the closing bracket of the method. If return keyword is not there, it takes a closing bracket of that method and goes back to the method calling statement and stops at next line. Did you understand? If I don't write return keyword, then from this closing bracket, it will go back to the method calling statement, stops at next line. Is this clear? Yes. What will it print now? 200. Closing bracket of main. Program stops. Did you understand? Now read these 3 points. What are these what are these points? We use only return keyword inside void method. It is optional to use. What is the third point? What is the third point? It will return control to method calling statement. It will return control to method calling statement. Is this clear? It will return control to method calling statement. Fine. It is optional to use. Did you understand that point? Okay. So online students, what is it? Clear, not clear? Please write this program. Clear. Okay. Let's write this code. Okay. Fine. Understand the code, not the IDEs. Right now, the focus is not I'm using Eclipse or I'm using IntelliJ or I'm using VS Code. That's not the focus. Focus is the code. That's the core part for us right now to understand. Okay? Is this clear? Everyone? Yeah? Now, see why we use it, which means, see, even if you don't use it, it will work. That's an option that has been given. Use a return keyword. Program will be more readable. When you look at the return keyword, it's more readable program. It's more understandable. That from here the control will go back. Okay? Now, see this here. Observe, I'm going to write here system dot out dot println of 500. So what will happen in this code? Observe. From a1 dot test, I will call test method. 100 return keyword. Can you tell me what return keyword does? From this line, it will go back to the place from where it is called. From here, it will go back to the place from where the method is called. which means every time you will return from here back to this place. And this line of code will never run. Do you agree with that? Never runs or never executes. Fine. Which means you have written down a line of code in your program such that that will never run. You have written down a line of code in your program such that it will never run. Such errors that occurs because of that code can 100% cannot run is called as unreachable code error. What is it called as? Unreachable code error. Did you understand this, guys? What is unreachable code error? See this here. If I now go to this IDE and after this, I have this particular code here. So let me do one thing. Let me write return, no error. But if I now write some line of code, what do you see here? Why there is an error? The error is because this line of code 100% it cannot run. And such errors are called as unreachable statement errors. What is this error called as? Unreachable statement. Is this clear? Everyone? So what is a very important note we can write here? What is the important note we can write here? Note is this. After return keyword in the below example, let's write it like this. In the below example, after return keyword, SOP of 500 will never execute. This will give unreachable statement, unreachable statement or unreachable code error. Is this clear? Huh. That is return value. यहां पढ़ो. नेक्स्ट हम क्या डिस्कस करने वाले हैं? यहां पे क्या है ये? I'm talking only about return keyword right now. I'm not returning value. यहां पे हम क्या लिखा हुआ हमने यहाँ पे? रिटर्न वैल्यू. तो ये दोनों अलग अलग चीज है. ओके, एवरीबडी गॉट इट? यस. ओके, मेक अ नोट ऑफ इट. Done. Now try to write this program without seeing. Write this program without seeing. Online students, is this clear? Yes. Okay. Students will start moving you to the app quickly. So whoever is joining the programs, quickly download the apps, keep it ready. Right? We will start adding you to the batches and further classes will happen in the app. Okay? With a personal login. Is this clear? Right? So after registering, immediately download the app and keep that ready because the classes will be shifted to the app. Okay? Is this clear? Because we are already on the 6th day of the class today. So I'll not be taking lot of classes on YouTube like this. I hope you understand. We have some restrictions. So I'll not be able to take all the classes, but ensure that people are ready, whoever is interested to continue further. Okay? Right. Let's continue further now. Now we are going to look at what do you mean by return value? What is the difference here now? See, the difference is this. The difference is now, whenever you're using return value, okay, we use, we use return, return space value keyword inside not a void method only. Okay, whenever you're returning a value, the method has to be not a void method. Second, it is it is mandatory to use return value keyword. Is this clear? It is mandatory to use return value keyword. Now, what do you mean by this now? Let's understand that here quickly. Okay? See, now I have here a method. Let me remove all these things. Okay, let me remove all these things. Int. What do you see here? Error. Whenever a method is not a void method, whenever a method is not a void method, it is mandatory that we write here return keyword. If you do not write this, this will give you an error. Okay. Firstly, when you're returning a value, the method should be not a void. Point number one, the method should not be a void method if you're returning value. And if you're creating not a void method, return value keyword, if missing, it will give error. Did you understand? So we have to write here return, we have to write here return space some value. Okay. So this is not optional here now. This is mandatory. It is mandatory that we people have to use a return space value keyword for a method, not a void. Is this point clear? Please read this. Is this point clear? Yeah? Both the points clear? Third, the third thing is it will return control and value to method calling statement. Okay? See, it will return control and value to method calling statement. This is returning only control. If you see this here, in this example, in this example, when I write here 100, and if I now change this to int, understand, it is not just returning control. From here, the control is going to this place, and also the value is also going to this place. Did you understand? Control is going means line 14 to, it's going to line 8. The control is going from line 15 to line 8, and along with that control, the value 100 is also going to x. So if I print x, it will print what? 100. Is this clear? Everyone, these examples are already been taken, so we'll not write the example separately, but these 3 points, is it clear? Second, if you write any statement after return keyword, can you tell me what will happen? If I write anything after this, what will happen? Huh? Correct. Because why unreachable code error? For what reason? What is the reason, guys? Can you tell me why unreachable code error? What is the reason? It cannot execute that statement 100%. Okay, when 100% statement execution cannot happen, it is going to give us unreachable code error. Okay, so I want you people to make a note of these 3 points. This is the interview question. What is the difference between return keyword and return value? So far in methods, we have explored what is void, we have explored what is void, then we have explored what is return keyword, then we have explored what is return value. These 3 topics in method so far we have discussed about it. Okay, we'll continue further from here and we'll discuss about more things. Okay, firstly, write these 3 points. Done. Okay. Shall we continue? Now, the next thing. Look at here. Now, when methods are being created, see here, I'll create this method. For now, I'll make it as void. I'm going to supply some arguments to this method. Int A, int B. Fine. There are two arguments created here. These arguments are local variables. Okay. Which means A and B are accessible only within test. Okay. They will be treated as what? Local. Now, I'll create an object A1 is equal to new A. If I write A1 dot test, it gives an error. Reason being, when I'm calling this method, it is expecting some values to be supplied while calling. Is this clear? If I don't supply value, what do you see here? Error. So let's apply one value. Still error. Why? Because it is expecting two values. So this 10 I'm supplying to A. Next one is B, which is also int. So I will supply 20. Is error gone? So these values 10 and 20 will go to these variables and we can print these values here. Let's print A and then let us print B. Did you understand, guys? See this now. What is the output? 10 and then what? 20. You can add more arguments. Let's say string. Let's make this as S. Error because there is a mismatch. Okay, while calling the method, the value supplied with the arguments here, there is a mismatch. So I will now supply a string value. So let's print this value S. For that, what will I do now? Write S here. Did you understand now? Yeah? Everyone clear with this part? Okay. So how do we supply arguments? Right here. Okay. Method arguments. Okay. Method arguments. Example for method arguments. Make a note of it quickly. Done. Okay. Now, very importantly, why we require method? What is the purpose of method? Let's see this here. See, when, let's say I want to perform a login, right? So I'm going to build some logic in my code that can help me perform login. Correct? So what will happen now? Let's say user 1, okay? He will try to log in. User 2 will try to log in. User 3 will also try to log in. Now, when the user 1 is entering username and password, I'm calling this method. When the user 1 is entering username and password, I'm calling this method which will verify his username and password. The same method, when user 2 enters the username and password, I'm calling the same login method to verify the username and password. When this user also enters a username and password, we are calling the same method to verify the username and password, which means this method login is now called three times, right? So this method, whatever code it has now, I can tell this is being reused three times in our use case. The same code is reused for three times. Every user trying to log in, the login method is being called, and this login method verifies their username and password. And in order to reuse the code, I'm developing a method, keeping the code in that method, so that whenever I want to call that method, when I call that method, the code inside that method is being reused. First answer is reusability. The second answer is now, let's say, let's say why methods are required. Did you understand the first answer? Right? The second answer is now, today, when we perform a login, there are multiple ways to log in. I might log in with OTP, correct? I might log in with email. I might log in with what? Email, correct? I'll enter the email and password to log in. I'll enter the mobile number and OTP to log in. Now, this one, let's assume, is method 1. And this one is method 2. Methods are separating our logical units. Let's say this user 1 wants to log in with OTP. So, since I have a method, inside that, the logical code to log in with OTP is kept separate. We'll see all of these things in practicals when we do projects. Okay, I'll teach you how to log in with OTPs and all these things we will see further. But for now, just understand, the same user can also log in with email. So this method has a logic which will verify the email and password, and this method has a logic that will verify the mobile number and OTP. So methods are helping me to segregate my code logic wise and write the program. Got it? And this logic, which I'm keeping in method, becomes reusable. Okay, I can also develop one more method later, which is responsible for sending SMS. Correct? I can develop a method which is responsible for sending SMS. I'll write the logic to send SMS. My customer now gives me requirement that let us send one WhatsApp message. Okay, so now for that I have a separate method in which the logic to send WhatsApp message is written, login to send, the method to send SMS, method to send WhatsApp messages. I have separate methods. Every method has some logical thing written in it, and that logical thing is what? Reusable. Okay, so now my customer says that I also want one email sending, okay, feature. So I will develop another method called as email sending, and in that I will write the complete code to send emailer. Got it? Everybody got it now? Why methods now? Okay, so this is where methods will come into what? Picture. That's it, guys. I'm going to stop here today. We'll meet up again tomorrow, right? People, okay, whoever wants to join, immediately we are going to shift to the batches soon, okay, in our paid apps. Okay, because already today the 6th class is completed, right? So interested people can take a call and start registering themselves. Offline people get the ID cards done. Online people, okay, be ready with the screenshots of the payment. I will be shifting, okay, without informing anyone. We will not call anyone. Did you join? You did not join. You joined. You did not join. We will soon, okay, abruptly will be shifted to the paid batches. Got it? So there is no calling mechanism here where individual will get the call and will try to convince them. No. Once the batch is freezed, no admissions will be accepted in that batch. That is the rule here. Is this clear? Once I freeze the batch, even if you come and tell, sir, I want to join that batch, you will be eligible only for the next batch. Okay, this is a very strict protocol. Because why we do this is, somebody will come after 15 days and tell, I want to join the batch. He has missed 15 classes. After 15 classes, I cannot put him into that batch because he will not be able to understand what I'm teaching. Got it? So these lectures are in sequence. Okay, so 15 days later you tell, I want to join that batch. We will tell you, come for only new batch. Old batches, sorry, we cannot make you join there. Okay, because every class is interlinked. You would have observed that now. Correct. Best of luck, guys. Bye. Take care. We'll meet up again in the next class. That's tomorrow. Okay. The team is not telling how to join. Just call on this number. They will tell you. Call 9632629033, and this is the support number for online people. Call on that number. They will tell you. Okay. What is the procedure for online students? Is this clear? Okay. Bye, guys.